Monica.
Before we proceed, I'd like to briefly turn the meeting over to one of our outstanding students who received the President's Award tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the dais Leonard Villegas from Bel Air High School.
Thank you, Ms. Woodruff, and good evening, everyone. My name is Leonard Villegas. I'm a senior at Bel Air High School, and it is my honor and pleasure to call this meeting to order. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the Ysleta Independent School District's meeting of the Board of Trustees. Whether you're here to address the board or to celebrate the accomplishments of those being honored here this evening, we appreciate that you have taken the time to join us. We invite you to share your comments with the board during the public comment portion of our meeting. The public comment sign-up cards show the rules for participating. Legally, the board may listen but may not enter into a discussion on the issue raised. We remind everyone that this is a board meeting often attended by students and ask that we all conduct ourselves in a manner that best represents the values and traditions of the Ysleta Independent School District. Please turn off or silence all cell phones, tablets, and other electronic devices, and thank you for your attendance. This meeting of the Board of Trustees is called to order at 6:04. We have a quorum with Charlie Bustillos, Richard Cuder, Sotero Ramirez, Cruz Ochoa, Catherine Luceto, Mike Rosales, and myself, Connie Woodruff. Trustee Cuder, will you please introduce our Parkland High School RJOTC?
With pleasure. The Color Guard Commander is Cadet Stephen Schermerhorn. The other Color Guard members are Cadet Ashley Crooks, Cadet Micaiah Newman, Cadet Virginia Torres, and the pledge leader tonight is Cadet Ryan Westfall from Parkland High School. Will you please stand for the presentation of the colors, the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance, the Texas Pledge of Allegiance, and a moment of silence. Please remain standing until all cadets have departed. Order.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, please join me in the pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Order. Oh.
Dr. Delatorre. Oops, I think we start with you instead. Do we have recognitions and introductions this evening?
President Woodruff, members of the board, esteemed guests, we have several presentations this evening. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Patricia Ayala, the Chief Communications Officer, who will make the introductions.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent De La Torre. We have several recognitions for you this evening. At this time, we ask that you please come to the front of the dais for the presentations. Audience members, we ask that you please remain seated until all recognitions are complete. Tonight's recognition honors Bel Air High School senior Leonard Villegas, a self-proclaimed life enthusiast who keeps everyone on campus smiling on a daily basis. Recently, however, he proved himself to be more than just a miracle worker when he successfully managed to unite the Bel Air Highlanders with one of their staunchest rivals, the Eastwood High School Troopers. Leonard, who is part of the EMT program in Bel Air Health Magnet program, took it upon himself to plan a community service project to benefit the Muscular Dystrophy Association, which funds research and supports those with neuromuscular diseases. To help with this project, he recruited an unlikely ally, Eastwood High School. Together, students and staff from both schools were able to collect nearly $1,000 for MDA during one of the season's most anticipated football games, Bel Air versus Eastwood, or the famous Battle of the Helmet. Among the donors were firefighters from area stations who not only attended the Battle of the Helmet, but intensified the competition with a friendly game of tug of war during halftime. Leonard's commitment to service touches every aspect of his life. He is an athletic trainer, the class of 2019 secretary, student council president, serves on the superintendent's Student Advisory Committee, and volunteers at Del Sol and University Medical Center hospitals. He is the epitome of maturity and leadership. His service project this fall not only benefited those affected by neuromuscular disease, but also brought together two rival schools on their most competitive night for a very worthy cause. He is a wonderful example of the service excellence we encourage and highlight at the district. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this month's President Award winner, Bel Air High School senior, Leonard Villegas. Let's give him a big round of applause. Also help me welcome Leonard's principal, Mr. Charlie Garcia. Let's hear it one more time for Leonard. Our next recognition honors the hardest working volunteers in the district, our Board of Trustees. School board members are strong advocates for public education who work to create the educational environment we want for our students, and we deeply value the guidance, commitment, and dedication they bring to the Ysleta Independent School District. At this time, I'd like to invite students from each learning community to present our trustees with gift baskets and personal words of appreciation. We will start from my left to right. First, we have District 5, the Hanks area. Mr. Ochoa, would you please step forward? Representing Hanks High School is student Iracema Avaitia, accompanied by Indian Ridge Middle School student Ethan Cox and Glen Cove Elementary School student Veda Smith.
Mr. Ochoa, as we stand before you representing the Haynes learning community, we would like to thank you for your endless support of the Kingdom of Eight. Your passion for education and your dedication to mentoring others is something we admire about you. You have been a huge advocate and the biggest cheerleader for all programs at the Kingdom of Champions, especially our state-bound robotics team. We truly appreciate you selflessly giving up your time to help improve not only the Haynes community, but all communities in the district. We are very fortunate to have you as our board member. Thank you for changing kids' lives one at a time. Shields up.
Let's hear it one more time for the Knights. Next, we have District 7, the Del Valle area. Ms. Lucero, would you please step forward? From Del Valle High School, we have student Irma Escobar. She's accompanied by Presa Elementary School student Leila Ariola.
Good evening. What an honor it is to be here as we recognize the accomplishments of our great Board of Trustees. It is a pleasure to congratulate and thank Ms. Catherine R. Lucero, our Del Valle area trustee, for her hard work and dedication to the district. Look around you. I hope you get a sense of the remarkable momentum of this school district, which indeed is like no other. It is throughout the leadership of this school board that we can excel in academics, athletics, and fine arts in the brand new state-of-the-art Del Valle Middle School. Our elementary students also thank you for their amazing cafeterias. I couldn't have picked a better school district to call home. I will soon graduate from the finest high school in the county. Thank you again, Ms. Lucero, and the entire Board of Trustees. It is because of you that I am here today, sharing this great honor. One family, one destiny. Thank you.
Next, we have District 4, the Eastwood area. Mr. Rosales, would you please step forward? Here to represent Eastwood High School is student Natasha Reyes, accompanied by Eastwood Knolls International student Leah Herrera and Scottsdale Elementary School student Charlotte Mendoza.
Good evening. Theodore Roosevelt has defined a man as one who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst knows if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. The Eastwood Learning Community has had the privilege of being represented by a man of great character and immense dedication. Without hesitation, Mr. Rosales is behind us, providing nothing but support for all our endeavors. The enormous amount of gratitude felt by our learning community can never truly be expressed. However, tonight we offer a basket as a token of our appreciation. Mr. Rosales, thank you for all you have done for troopers of the past, present, and future.
Next, we have District 2, the Bel Air area. Ms. Woodruff, would you please step forward? Representing Bel Air High School is Senior Leonard Villegas. He is accompanied by Bel Air Middle School student Jamie Aranda and Hacienda Heights International School student Sebastian Beltran.
Just like a flower cannot grow without sunlight, a windmill cannot spin without wind. Our schools cannot function without the support of its board members. Our Big Red community has been blessed with the most supported and nurturing trustee possible. Emulating our customer service priority, you can always find her on the sidelines and the front rows, greeting and complimenting our students and staff. Her support and dedication toward bettering our education has been proven continuously. As we have seen with our bond program, Ms. Woodruff, thank you for your unending work to benefit all our students. We are eternally grateful, and Big Red loves you. Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time for the Highlanders. Next, we have District 6, the Ysleta area. Mr. Ramirez, would you please step forward? From Ysleta High School, we have student Nathan Da Silva, accompanied by Rio Bravo Middle School student Daniela Sainz and Capistrano Elementary School student Sienna Hernandez.
It is the practice of an excellent leader to act with authority while walking amongst his followers. In each of my interactions with Mr. Ramirez, I have always been given the respect of an equal. I've been impressed each time with how earnestly Mr. Ramirez treats students, teachers, and administrators alike. He beautifully represents what matters to our district, that being a strong sense of community and a dedication to education. And he certainly practices what we preach. When we need guidance, he is there, and when we need compassion, he is more than happy to provide it. And when it's time to work, I know that he'll be right there with us. From high-Q tournaments to the football fields, I've seen Mr. Ramirez supporting our schools. I see him on the sidelines, and it makes all the difference to the students and the coaches that put their work into it. From everyone who has benefited from your work and your kindness, and everyone who will, I offer our thanks to the man who truly embodies our motto, once an Indian, always an Indian. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramirez.
Keep smiling. Let's hear one more time for the Indians. Next, we have District 3, the Parkland area. Mr. Kadir, will you please step forward? Representing Parkland High School, we have student Dion Hankins. He is accompanied by Dolphin Terrace Elementary School student Jennifer Bell Pintado.
Good evening, trustees and Dr. De La Torre. It is a privilege to stand before you tonight to honor our Parkland area trustee, Mr. Richard Cudier. Trustee Coutier has made it his life's mission to help educate our community's youth as a former middle school teacher, Go Center specialist, and current facilitator of college readiness. As further evidence of his commitment to all children, he volunteers with a nonprofit group that provides social, athletic, and career opportunities for special needs individuals. Mr. Coutier uses his experience to advocate for the Parkland community in our quest to be the best. The future is bright for all of us at the district, thanks to the efforts of Mr. Coutier and the rest of the school board. We thank you for advocating for student success and making a difference in the Parkland community by setting an example of what true dedication looks like.
Let's hear it one more time for the Matadors. Next, we have District 1, the Riverside area. Mr. Bustillos, would you please step forward? Here to represent Riverside High School is student Jaden Delgadillo, accompanied by Cedar Grove Elementary School student Gabriela Martinez.
Good evening. Tonight I have the honor of recognizing our trustee, Mr. Carlos Bustillos, for his hard work and dedication to our students, schools, and community. This year, Riverside High School marks its 50th anniversary, and we are excited to celebrate our amazing alumni. Alumni like former New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez and Lombardo Boyar and Octavio Solis, who helped create Disney's award-winning movie Coco. Tonight, I stand before two amazing Riverside alumni, Ms. Connie Woodruff and Mr. Carlos Bustillos, who strive every day to make our students, schools, and district the best in El Paso. Thank you, Mr. Bustillos, for the countless hours you spend making our schools better, for being our #1 fan and always making time to attend our events, and for believing in us and treating us like we were your own children. Thank you for being a living example of Ranger Pride branded for life.
Let's hear it one more time for the Rangers. Tonight's final recognition comes from the Special Education Department and students from the Transition to Life Career Center, who created a special basket for each of our trustees. Here to present the baskets, our Special Education Coordinator, Susie Flores. Teacher, Lisa DeRowan. And TLCC students, Amber Sanchez, Miguel Gutierrez, and Taya Herrera. Let's hear it one more time. Let's hear it one more time for our wonderful trustees. Your service is greatly appreciated. This concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Before we go on, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody in attendance, but especially the Board of Trustees just wants you to know that our job is made easier by all of the hard work of the people in this room, our superintendent, our cabinet, our principals, our teachers, our support staff. We couldn't do it without you, and we just appreciate you more than we can say. Thank you very much. Secretary Rosales, do we have requests for citizens' input?
Madam Chair, we do not. Thank you.
We will begin the workshop with our internal auditor, Champagne. Do we have questions for our internal audit pertaining to the monthly audit status report? You don't have to run, Champagne, it's fine. Take your time. I'm betting we don't.
Good evening, Board President, board members, and Dr. De La Torre.
We'll let them kind of.
Is there any question for me?
We'll let everybody kind of clear out first.
Actually, we were pretty full.
Let's just go on. I was. I tried to. Okay, let's go on, I guess. Okay, do we have any questions for Ms. Champagne? Looks like you ran up here for nothing.
Okay, if you have any question, you can email me or call me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now review the consent agenda items. The order of business shall be set out in this posted agenda unless changed by consensus of the board. Are there any items you'd like to pull off the consent agenda for a separate vote? Thank you. The agenda will be considered the consensus of the board. We will now open the public hearing on the Texas Assessment Performance Report presentation. Following the report, the public is invited to ask questions or make comments. If so, then please observe the following rules. Individuals wishing to speak are limited to 3 minutes. If you have not signed up on the sign-up sheet to speak, please do so at this time on the table located by the entry door. If you're part of a group or more than 5 persons, please select a spokesperson to speak for the group. Dr. Delatorre, please lead us into the Texas Assessment Performance Report and presentation this evening.
Good evening, members of the board, President Woodruff. Those gathered by law, we're required to present to the Board of Trustees every year on a variety of subjects, and this evening's taper presentation I think is something to be incredibly proud of as a school district, in that it is a testament to your leadership and the work that we've done in this school district for about the past 5 years that coincides with the Vision 2020 plan. As I mentioned, there are a variety of laws that govern this presentation. I won't go into it in detail other than to suggest that we're required by law to do this. It'll cover academic performance, the district's accreditation status, PEIMS financial standard reports, the violent or criminal incidents report, results from evaluations, the class of 2000 high schools, graduation performance and higher education performance, and finally campus goals and performance objectives. I'd like to begin by making comments around what oftentimes is a misconception, and that is that the Ysleta Independent School District often gets compared to neighboring school districts, but specifically the Socorro Independent School District and the El Paso Independent School District, and that we're the 3 largest school districts in Region 19. But what you'll see here and on your screen is that the trend is significantly different. Economically disadvantaged students have historically underperformed in our public school system. So what you'll find is that at present, 78% of the students in the Ysleta Independent School District are eligible for a free and or reduced lunch, making them socioeconomically disadvantaged. By contrast, the Socorro Independent School District, who at one time, about 10 years ago when I had the privilege of being their superintendent, and also faced an 80% socioeconomically disadvantaged population, has seen those numbers reduced significantly as a result of the economic development, the residential development that you see along Zaragoza and out near East Lake High School in Horizon City. So they've dropped in the number of socioeconomically disadvantaged students by almost 10% in 10 years. El Paso ISD is also seeing a significant reduction in the number of students that qualify for free and or reduced lunch. Those numbers are at 69%. So for all intents and purposes, we're starting to face the same kind of demographics that you'll find in Clint, Tornillo, San Elizario. Nevertheless, the community wants to know which of the 3 big districts is performing well. And then Canutillo has also benefited from some of the economic development and some of the residential development. Additionally, if you look at English learners, or students whose primary language at home is not English, they're either non-English proficient, at best limited English proficient, you'll find that 1 in 4 students in the Ysleta Independent School District come to us as English learners. That number has changed somewhat in the Socorro Independent School District, where that number is now 1 in 5. El Paso is looking at approximately 1 in 3. Clint, 1 in 3. And Canutillo, 1 in 3. And finally, special education. As you all know, we've worked hard and earned a reputation for providing the gold standard when it comes to serving students with special needs. So the percentage of students in this school district who have special needs is close to 12%, whereas in the Socorro Independent School District, it's 9.4%, El Paso 10.4%, Clint closer to 8%, and Canutillo 9%. I think that is a testament to the work that our special education department and the results that we're getting from our special education department. have certainly been recognized by families and students in our community. These following slides indicate how we've performed relative to the state and our region. The state is indicated in blue, the region is indicated in red, and the district, the Ysleta Independent School District, is in the yellow gold. And as you can see, we outperform both the region and the state when it comes to English, language arts, reading, writing. In mathematics, I think we've established and made a name for ourselves as a school district that is, some people have called it, have cracked the code and are making great progress, accelerated progress in making certain that students not only approach the standard, not only meet the standard, but actually master the standard. In writing, we've exceeded the state and regional performance, which is true both in science and in social studies. We appear to be right about where the state and the region are at present. If you look at what's happened over just the last 2 years, it's important to perform well, but it's also important to demonstrate that every year we have a culture of and a cycle of improvement. So 2 years ago, 74% of our students were approaching grade level. This last year, that number is 78%, so we've increased by 4%. It's a 2% average over 2 years. In mathematics, from 82% to 88%. In writing, we dipped 1%, but we're sitting at 71%. Science and social studies have both seen 2% increases over the last 2 years, so we're encouraged by the fact that we're headed in the right direction. All of those cells that you see on the next two tables are cells where the Ysleta Independent School District in the region is either the top score or tied for the top score. So we're encouraged by the fact that with the exception of 5 grade levels in the various content areas, the Ysleta Independent School District is the top performing school district in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade English language arts, reading and writing. Top scores in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 8th grade mathematics, 4th grade writing, 5th grade science, and we've made some improvements in social studies. When it comes to end of course or the performance of students at our comprehensive high schools, we are the top performing high schools in the region in English 1, Algebra 1, and biology. But as we've said, it's not about a general education. Special education students have also demonstrated great performance. Those cells are also indicated in green. And when it comes to our students with special needs, all but 3 grade levels are the top performing grade levels in the various content areas. And when it comes to the end of course exam at the high school, it's a sweep. This isn't being televised, is it? English learners, take a look at this. English learners, every grade level, every content area across Region 19. What I find also encouraging is if you look at the percentage of change in the second cell over, where it starts with 10, that's the growth from the previous year. 10, 1, 7, 4, 3, 8, 8, 1, 4. Have you seen a negative yet? Not yet. We have one negative. It happened in writing in the 4th grade. With the exception of that, we either maintained our performance or increased our performance in every grade level. And I'm not talking about that because I think that we deserve credit or that even you deserve credit. I'm talking about that because of your work, because of the C-suite or the cabinet's work and directors, but it's the principals and more importantly the teachers in the 4 corners of the classroom that are putting the work in, and they're making it happen for us. We've set a blueprint, an instructional framework that we believe works, and over the last 4 years, it's through the efforts of your school teachers that this is possible. So I want to applaud them because they're the ones that make it happen, and with great leadership at each and every one of our schools, our trajectory is in a very, very positive direction. when we start looking at what's important to us, and that's not approaches, because approaches, one may argue the standard is anemic, or some may say the floor. We're about meeting the grade level, and again, you'll see that in reading. We are equal to the state, exceed the region. In mathematics, we outperform both the state and the region. In writing, we outperform both the state and the region. We are even with the state in science, and we've got a tiny bit of work to do in social studies. But I will say this, social studies was at the bottom just 4 years ago, so they've worked very hard to get us back up there, and I see good things happening in the future for them. And again, this is encouraging. Reading at the meets level, not the approaches level, 43% is now 46%. In mathematics, 49%. Meeting is now 57%. That means 6 out of 10 students aren't approaching grade level, they're meeting the state standard. In writing, 35 became 44, that's a 9-point increase. Science, 42% became 51. In social studies, 43 became 51. If you look to the right of that, you'll see a yearly average of 1, 2.7, 3, and 2.7. There's no regression at the meeting standard. All students, percent rated at the meets level. We've lost some ground in some areas, but if you look, you'll see that in all but a few grade levels and content areas, we still perform pretty well when it comes to meeting the state standard. Certainly in the end of course exams, English 1 and Algebra 1 continue to be the gold standard for meeting the state standard. Special education. Find me some yellow. You can't. I want to commend the special education department, Dr. Diane Otero, all of our teachers, everyone that supports our students. There's a reason why parents decide to send their children with special needs to this school district, and you're looking right at it. And look at that. EL looks just like it. Every content area, every grade level, right? We're not where we want to be with either of those subpopulations, but we're certainly doing something different in this school district that has allowed us to perform this way, again, at the meets, not the approaches, right? Which is closer to that college career readiness that we're looking for. Mastery. Numbers are low, but the numbers are low for everybody. In reading, we're at 17%. The state is slightly higher. In math, we continue to be the highest performing school district, not just in the region, but across the state. That is true of writing when it comes to the region. At the state level, we have a percentage point we need to make up. In science, higher than the region, working toward the state. And in social studies, even with the region performance. And mastery, as you know, is probably the best indicator of college career readiness. And what's happened there? A few years ago, 14% has become 17%. In mathematics, 20% has become 27% mastery. In writing, 7% is now 12%. Science has gained 8 points and gone from 11% to 19%. And social studies has jumped up 10 points from 16% to 26%. And in those areas that you see green, we're the highest performing or equal to the highest performing. In the areas that you see the yellow color, that's lower than the regional scores. On EOC, once again, in English 1 and Algebra 1, we're performing at or higher than all of the neighboring school districts. And what I like about this is basically what we're saying is that when it comes to algebra, 1 in 2 students are college career ready. If Algebra 1 is the indicator of college career readiness, and I think all research bears that it certainly is. Special ed. EL. By grade, 4th grade, when it comes to academic growth on the STAR, 61, slightly below where we'd like to be as far as the region and the state. Grade 5, 78, a point below the region, 2 points below the state. In grade 6, students performing at 50th percentile, grade 7, 76 percentile, 8, 77, and English 2, 71. Mathematics. I think we've established that this school district is doing well in mathematics at the 4th grade, 69, which is higher than both the state and the region. At grade 5, 81 is equal to the state, 1 point behind the region. 56, equal to the state. 63, we have some work to do in that grade level. 80, another grade level where we need to put more emphasis on our instructional framework. And then in Algebra 1, no comparison, 87% of the students in this school district. 4-year graduation rates are up when compared to the class of 2016 and then again in 2017. I'm specifically talking about district performance. 89.8 is now 90.3. 5-year graduation, 92, 91, holding steady. 4-year dropout rates, lower than the state, lower than the region. 5-year dropout rate, significantly lower than the state and the region. College, career, military readiness, and now we're going back to 2017, so we're back behind a little bit. And it's an area where we've put some extra energy and effort. We were at 46, that's something that needs to be addressed. And then the 2017 graduates by CCMR, college, career, military readiness, 40%, and then 12.3 when it comes to career military readiness. I feel like in a couple of years that will completely flip. PEAMS financials, not all that different from what you might find throughout the state. One of the things that are important, I think, for us to understand and for the community to understand is that most of the money that we receive in the form of revenue comes to us from the state because we are considered a property poor district. So 63 pennies out of every dollar is coming from the property wealthy districts throughout the state. 20% of it comes from our local property taxes, 2% comes from other local taxes, and 15% comes from the federal government. When you compare that to the state average, you'll see that the state contributes significantly more to property poor districts, which isn't uncommon. And then other districts, depending on where they are in the state of Texas, property taxes make up a bigger percentage of their revenue. The federal government gives less because the federal government gives more to property poor districts, and then that 4% are other local taxes that those folks pay. In terms of how we spend our money in the district, if you look to the left, you'll see that 60% of our money is spent on instruction. The state spends about 56%. And then you can go right down that list and see how we compare to the state in terms of how we allocate our resources. And the one thing I will say is, with the help of Ms. Leeper, members of the cabinet, Mr. O'Neill, when it comes to staffing, when it comes to how we allocate money, we're very thoughtful and very deliberate. And ultimately what drives that is what's going to have the greatest impact and influence on the children in the four corners of the classroom. Violent and criminal incidents, you'll find that they hold steady about 0.97. So if you have 41,000 students over the course of a year, we'll have 400 incidents, which is nothing excessive. It isn't anything remarkable. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure I should say this. We don't have a law enforcement department per se with sworn peace officers. We have very valuable peace officers, but what it shows is that our current security officers that take care of our kids at the school are performing equal to what you might find in school districts who are making a much, much higher investment to have law enforcement across the district. If that should ever change, then we would certainly have a conversation with the board relative to whether or not more resources need to be redirected. But that hasn't been true in the almost 5 years I've been here, and it doesn't happen to be true across the state of Texas. What matters is, more than anything, it's the relationship that the adults develop with the children at school that then let the children feel comfortable enough to give the adults information that prevent a lot of the tragedies that some other school districts throughout the country have experienced. There's another snapshot of that. And then the last information has to do where students from each of our respective schools, how many of them go on the post-secondary opportunities. Now, the one thing I would add is that this is limited to post-secondary opportunities in Texas. So it does not take into consideration students who are going off to military academies or colleges and universities in states like California, New Mexico, East Coast, and that type of thing. And as you all know, we've got any number of remarkable students that find themselves at MIT and some of the Ivy League schools, et cetera. And then all of this, by law, has to be available to the public. So we've provided the website and how to get to it. And at this time, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer. But before we do that, I want to thank the area team, the individuals that are here with us this evening. They're the ones that collect, organize, and disaggregate the data for us. And they're led by Ms. Harry, who's over here. Why'd you guys sit in your seats? And they do a great job because not only do we here at the central office rely on the data, but our principals rely on their respective data to inform the decisions that they make at their school relative to course offerings, master schedule, where teachers should and shouldn't teach. It all goes into the way we think about teaching and learning, and we're very proud of these results. We're very proud of these results because as our demographics become more and more challenging, not to us, we've always embraced the child no matter who the child is or where they come from, but historically and because of what research has suggested, children of color, children of poverty, children with special needs, or children who have impediments around language, historically have not performed as well as other children. And I think in this region, and I'll give credit to even the neighboring school districts, I think we're farther along in cracking that code and making sure that our children are receiving the same level of teaching and learning as anyone else. And it won't be long before we figure this thing out, and they'll perform right there with, you know, the Eanes ISDs and the Travis ISDs and all of those school districts that have historically been high performing. Questions? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman,
Mike.
May I say a few words?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Dr. La Torre, first of all, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank all the principals, the teachers, and of course the administration. But everything happens because of leadership. And I commend you. 4 years ago, when I first got on board, I saw a need, and we remember talking about these things. And I commend you for the tremendous improvement that we're now seeing, we're experiencing. We're not there yet, I understand that. But we've come a tremendous way above and beyond. And this is, again, the reason I'm saying this is because of all the dedicated hard work of our people at the school level, the teachers. I keep saying the same thing, but it's true. And then you bring it up to the fact that we have the tremendous leadership in the administration. We're blessed.
Thank you.
Blessed for your dedication, your focus, and you continue doing it.
Thank you very much.
We as board members, and I can only speak for myself, we're here to give you as much support as what you need.
You certainly have.
But in the last 4 years, I would say that we've come a long ways, and we do have a little bit of ways to go. But I'm very confident in the fact that we are going to outperform a lot of the people around us, whether they're east or west of us, simply because we have a mission, and the mission is to perform for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ramirez.
Dr. Del Torre, I'd like to congratulate you and the team for all the hard work. And I'm going to look in the back because a bunch of our principals and our leaders are still here. Thank you for staying. I don't know why. You should go home. But we myself and a couple of other trustees just came back from a meeting last night, and we're constantly hearing, not only from this meeting but other meetings, what is it you all are doing? Why is this happening? And we talk about leadership, and we talk about vision, and we talk about having the right people in the right place. And as I echo Mr. Rosales' comments, but I would hope, and I would ask our administrators that when you get to school tomorrow, please take a moment to thank each one of your teachers and each one of your custodians and each one of your food service workers, and tell them that the work that they do makes a huge difference every day, and we're impacting the lives of children. And we just spent 2 days listening to more statistics than I ever thought I could ever listen to. And I tell you what, we've got it. And as one guy came up to me recently and told me, he said, you guys are real proud of this thing that you call the district. You act like you own it. And I said, we own it today, and we own it tomorrow, and we own it all the time. And so I thank Dr. LaTorre, and I thank the entire team, the entire district. But also, I'd also thank our families. And I would just like to finish with one comment. We have a wonderful legislative delegation in Austin. But I would ask everyone to please keep sending them letters and emails and texting them so you know them. And I'm hoping that the state will do the right thing and fund public education the way it needs to be funded. Give us money, the things to do, the things that we need to do. We're not wasting any money around this place. We're using our pennies wisely, and we watch every penny. And so I would hope that please stay engaged in that process as well as we go through all the way. And I see our friends from YTA out there, and I know that they're on top of that as well too. But we need the entire community to say, fund public education, take care of our kids, let us do our jobs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Delatorre. Mr. Rosales, or Secretary Rosales, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
No, we do not.
Thank you. We will now close the public hearing. We'll move on to our consent agenda item review. If there's something that you want to talk about, please stop me when I get to it. So number 1, Board of Trustees Workshop, December 10th. Board of Trustees number 2, Board of Trustees regular meeting, December 12th. Number 3, monthly financial update for November 2018. Number 4, authorized use of designated investment brokers. Number 5, annual resolution allowing investment training from designated companies. Number 6, resolution of annual required investment policy review. Number 7, approval of award of YISD contract number 201-90123 with University of Texas at El Paso. Number 8, approval of award of YISD solicitation number 2.
I have questions on that.
On this one, or did I go too fast through the other one?
Number 8.
Okay, I'll read it and then I'll get your question. Approval of award of YISD solicitation number 219010 CSP district-wide network electronics E-rate year 2019. Go ahead, Mr. Ochoa, and ask your question.
Yes, I would just like to have a little bit more breakdown of what this entails. If anybody could fill me in, or the board too, because $2 million is $2 million.
Ms. Woodruff, Dr. Delatorre, members of the board, Gloria Chavez, our Chief Technology Officer, is here with her and her staff to answer any questions you might have about E-rate in this particular item.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Delatorre. This item on the agenda is for a project that is funded from our E-rate program. E-rate is a discounted program that is funded from the telecommunication companies. Anyone who has a cell phone gets a 40-cent or universal service fee deducted, and that is used to fund what we call E-rate. We have been utilizing those E-rate funds since 1996, and the way we are funded from that is based on our free and reduced lunch program. So depending on the services that we ask for, we're either funded 90 cents to $1 or 85 cents to $1. So this item here that we are requesting is for network electronics. And that network electronics is used to support our internet access and our wide area network, which is funded by E-rate at 90%. So I know that you see the $2 million on there, but right now what we have is $1.4 million in a bucket in E-rate that we can dip into. And this solicitation is required to be approved by the board before we can go to the Universal Service Administration and ask for this money. So the electronic equipment that we are requesting is for upgrades on all of our switches at district-wide. The switches that are already at end of life or no longer supported. We have inventory of which ones are already end of life and which ones are coming to end of life. So we'd like to take advantage of those E-rate funds and utilize it to fund this program or these replacements.
Well, thank you. I just have a question on these switches. What's their life expectancy? Or I mean, I know with every day the technology changes quite a bit, and the wide area network it's getting more and more complex. So, in order to support that kind of a network accessibility for our district, what do you foresee now that we replace some of these switches? How long will they last before we have to make another investment on that?
And you know, of course, they get better. They're also, the performance is better, and sometimes they're cheaper. Oh. So the life expectancy right now is, well, for us, it's up until it breaks. You know, we have switches that are 10 years old, 12 years old. We have some that are coming to end of life that are 5 to 8 years old. So, but the great thing about E-rate is that for this type of equipment, after a next period of 5 years, we can apply again for funds and see if we're allowed to dip into some of the E-rate money to supplement some of the switches that are also going out of going to end of life.
Oh, there has been done an assessment, district-wide,
yes,
which switches are need replacement or are going to go up, right? Yes,
sir. We have an inventory right now of all the campuses. We have the year of the end of life cycle, and we also have which ones we want to replace that need immediate replacement. So it's all inventoried. E-rate is very strict, so they also make sure that if we say we're buying a switch for, say, Hanks, that it's inventoried at Hanks and it lives at Hanks for 5 years. After 5 years, we can do whatever we want to with that switch.
One question.
Sure.
So with all these switches and replacing them, will that increase our throughput, or is there efficiency increase?
What it will do is, since currently we've, upgraded our wireless access, we have more Internet of Things. We have new interactive displays at campuses. We're currently increasing the one-to-one Engage Me devices, teacher devices, student devices. That allows us to have better performance. Some of our switches don't have what we call power over Ethernet, so these will replace some of those.
Okay, good. I just wanted to hear that breaking down so I could understand.
Yes, sir. We've been taking advantage, like I said, this since 1996, and it pays for our internet connection and our wide area network and our equipment, so it behooves us to continue to apply.
Well, I strongly support this effort.
Okay.
I think it's a great improvement to our communication systems throughout the district.
Okay, Mr. Rosales, you have a question?
Just a point of clarification. You made a comment at 1.4, but maybe I misunderstood. 1.7 is what E-rate will provide, and then the district will provide the $300,000.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. The solicitation is for $2 million, just in case we need to use the solicitation for other types of equipment in the district. We can use it at a discounted rate.
And these funds have been set aside, Dr. La Torre?
Yeah, they're part of the federal program, libraries program, and once the board approves it, they become available to the
Once the board approves the solicitation, then we go tell E-rate, hey, we have our solicitation that's been approved by the board. We'd like to apply for these funds. And then it takes about 6 months for them to allocate those funds.
Then the district puts up the 300.
And then the district, we work with finance and we say, hey, we have this project and we're going to need 300. So once we get funded, they do their number crunching.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any more questions?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 9, approval of award of YISD contract number 201-90110 with Angelo State University. And number 10, approval of award of YISD contract number 201-90107 with New Mexico State University. The order of the agenda has been approved. May I have an electronic motion and a second on the remaining consent agenda items listed on this agenda as recommended by administration? I think Mr.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda items listed on this agenda as recommended by administration.
We have a second from Mr. Cudier, and that's approved 7-0. Can we see if we have another copy of this? Because I don't think Mr. Ramirez has the right script.
I think it was just that one. I think it was just that one.
Was that the one?
Yeah, I think it's just that one thing. Priscilla, I think we're okay. We're okay.
All right. Okay, we're going to move on to our action items. Action item number 1, election order, notice of general election 2019. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the election order and notice of general election for a school board election to be held on May 4th, 2019 for single-member District 2, Bel Air District 4, Eastwood and District 6, Ysleta, authorizing administration to make any necessary changes to the order and notice of general election to reflect changes made by El Paso County as to polling place locations, dates, and times, and other changes allowed or required by law.
We have a second by Ms. Lucetto. That's approved 7-0. Action item number 2, budget allocation for restoration of Eastwood High School baseball field. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion?
What's the electronic hand?
You just press the speaker.
Oh,
there.
I did.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Oh, here we go.
All right, Mr. Ochoa, go ahead.
Yes. I know we've done wonderful things at Eastwood, and I know we're going through the removing all the portables and everything else. I just wanted to have a better breakdown of this request for $2 million. And if somebody could give us that breakdown tonight or provide it. to the board.
Absolutely, Mr. Ochoa. I'll ask Ms. Leeper to kind of run through and break it down for us and give the board an idea of what we're proposing this evening.
Good evening, members of the board. So with regard to the estimate of construction and what makes up those details, we do have the engineer or the architect has just completed the design and is preparing it for the contractor to use to bid out the particular aspects of restoring the baseball field. I can get that to you. It's lengthy, but it involves the design, the clearing the pavement, putting back in the turf, and all of those elements. Ms. Mathewson also has for you a schedule. As you know, I think from the BC that we submitted last week, the objective is to complete the baseball field before school starts. And so if we push it to the end, obviously any delay in construction costs more. By running it concurrently, we have to create capacity in the budget to allow us to do both at the same time. I fully anticipate that the bond savings will be sufficient to cover it, but because I'm running them side by side, I can't take from the other one to fund this one right now. And so that's why we're asking for this. I think the schedule may help you see exactly what aspects they're going through. I spoke with the contractor. They anticipate starting the grading, removal of the pavement and the area where the portables are right now as soon as they have your authorization. So tomorrow, if we get this.
Just one more question. So this money is coming out of the general fund for now?
Yes, sir.
But when the bond money is released, then we can put it back in there?
Yes, sir. So it's technically more complex than that. Essentially, I'm creating, that's the high level, yes. I'm creating capacity within the budget using general fund. But my anticipation is I'm going to pay for it right out of the bond as we move forward. I just need the capacity to authorize it.
Okay. Yes, the schedule really actually gives me a breakdown of what the cost is, what we're paying for. And it's pretty extensive, but, you know, I think Eastwood deserves a good high school baseball field too, because they've endured a lot of inconvenience because of the construction. But now that it's all coming together, I think it's going to be a premier school, and which we want to use that as a model so we can do that for our other schools.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One last thing, I just want to add something that, you know, the fact is that, and I know the public may say, well, Eastwood getting it all, what have you, but we've gone through quite a bit of disruption in the Eastwood community, and I commend the attitude, not so much of everyone really for that matter, the leadership, and I look at the children, the students. It's remarkable how we have taken these kids and put them out in portables, and yet the attitude is unbelievable. And it's a tribute to the fact that we preach number one status, and you see these kids just being strong and continue to be strong. And I'm very happy that we're able to hopefully pass this measure tonight. Aside from the fact that the school deserves it, it's gorgeous. Thank you.
Do you have any more discussion? If not, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the, authorize the supplemental use of general fund balance in an amount not to exceed $2 million to enable the district to proceed with contract amendments for the design and restoration of the baseball field at Eastwood High School, pending subsequent identification of 2015 bond project savings and budget reallocation.
We have a second by Mr. Kuder. That's approved 7-0.
Thank you, Cruz.
Action item number 3, ratification of award of change order number 1 to YISD contract number 201-90062 with basic IDIQ. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion? If not, may I have a motion?
I move to ratify award of change order number 1 to YISD contract 201-90062 with basic IDIQ for additional work required to complete the Del Valle High School portable installation project in the amount of $4,773 from local funds and contingent upon Form 1295 certificate of interested parties.
We have a second by Mr. Cudier. And that's approved 7-0. If we have no other discussion, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
I'm surprised.
Better not bill us.
Mr. O'Neill?